Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening to all our attendees. Welcome to PM Forum session today on the topic Project Management for Complex Projects. This is by Mr. Pranav Desai, who is Project Head at L&T Realty. He is B Civil Engineer from Sardar Patel College of Engineering and also Masters in Financial Management from Narsi Monji College, and he's also a Chartered Engineer. Mr. Pranav has 33 plus years of work experience in project management with exposure to varied projects in India as well as overseas, in Canada, Iran, and Venezuela, to name a few. He's working with L&T Realty as project head and presently handling a project of twin towers for L&T Infotech, which is slated to be the fastest commercial towers constructed in India. He has also constructed the tallest precast towers in India. He has completed a mini township. He has worked with reputed groups like Hiranandani Construction, Usha Martin, Billy Moria, and MNCs like Fiat Motors, to name a few. With this, we will be handing over the session to Mr. Pranav Desai. A note for the audience. Please note all audience is muted, but please feel free to type in your questions in the chat box and we will pick them up for you and share them with our esteemed speaker today. Two PDUs will be made available, the details for which will be shared by email in the coming days. Your feedback is valuable, so please share your feedback when the feedback link is provided. So thank you so much everybody for joining today. And with this, we hand over the session to Mr. Pranav Desai. Welcome, Mr. Pranav.
Hi, thanks. Thanks, Sonal, for a very elaborative introduction and for very kind words from your end. Welcome, friends and fellow project management professionals and aspirants. Uh, we all, yes, are from project industry and would love to talk and discuss more about the project industry as such. As she rightly explained, I'm presently working with L&T Realty and heading a couple of projects. The one major one is a twin tower for one of our group company called L&T Infotech. And today I would like to present a few of my observations, my experiences, and a few learnings from my experience of all about 33 years on managing complex construction projects. So mm, uh, I would prefer that we would have two sessions from 10 to 11. We would talk about the project management, and for about 45-50 minutes, we'll have about 10 minutes of question and answer session immediately for the first part. After that, we may have a small break. And after the break, when we start again, we'll have another session of about 40-45 minutes. And after that, the question answer sessions. So your questions are more than welcome. And I would be very happy to try and answer every one of them and explain whatever I have understood or I have learned so far in this industry. So with this, thanks once again for sparing your time and coming in to and giving me this opportunity to explain about my learnings. Basically, the contents are about the landmark projects. Since I work with L&T, and as we all know, L&T is one of the largest construction company and the largest construction contractor in this country so far. All major, I would say, all major reputed projects, particularly pertaining to common people, infrastructure, are largely handled by L&T, and L&T has very successfully completed these projects and even taking up new ones as well. Few of them to name with are there are some projects which have been completed. There are some projects which have been completed and are done with specific records, and there are some projects which are already in the making and maybe getting completed in a very short time henceforth. So I'll be dividing my initial project experience and project knowledge on these three type of projects first. I'll be specifically talking about one very unique kind of project of Seawoods, which is a transit oriented project, development project, uniquely envisaged by the transportation ministry along with L&T. Then we'll talk about one of the largest residential project in the city of Mumbai done. Fortunately, I was a part of that particular project. Then about the present project of L&T Mahape for Infotech, where they are the fastest constructed commercial towers in India as on today. And then we'll, in the second session, we'll talk a little more on the different technology and innovations that we've been able to successfully try, and we are continuously still working on to try and bring improvement in terms of quality, in terms of time, and most crucial, improvement in terms of safety parameters pertaining to such large projects. So with this, start with the slide. Here are a few projects which L&T has very successfully executed so far. Um, we'll be talking about 12 projects which have been completed and for which I have very elaborative information and knowledge. So I'll be starting with this. The first and foremost, as you can see, is the sorry, yeah. The first is the Mumbai International Airport Terminal 2. Now, this is one of the key infrastructure project which has brought a lot of pride to India and of course to Mumbai as well. Uh, this particular terminal is turned out to be so very beautiful and so very elegantly executed that it has been considered and officially declared as world's best airport by the Airports Council International in the year of 2017. Even today, I have been fortunate enough to be able to travel to various parts of the world. And I would say, except barring a couple of other airports like Singapore and Hong Kong at the moment, this is perhaps one of the best airports at this moment, most beautiful and most elegantly executed airport in the world. Now, the most unique feature about this particular airport was that it was not a greenfield project. It's a brownfield project where an existing airport is presently being run parallelly on the same airstrip, parallelly in the same locality. Every single day, lakhs of people are continuously traveling using the existing airport. And in spite of that, the new airport is getting constructed right next to it, trying to merge two projects together and ensuring the continuity of the project, which is the beauty, which is the most interesting and challenging part of it. This particular terminal is designed to take 40 million passengers per year, which in India at the moment is the second largest. Delhi airport is of course one very huge airport where once again we have larger capacities available. And the project is designed for 1 million metric ton of cargo per year. And this is huge. As we all know, the overall uh, volume of manpower people and overall volume of the cargo being handled at Mumbai airport is humongous, and that's how this project has been designed and envisaged for the present thing. Just to add further to that, that Mumbai is now looking forward to a much larger and much more modern new airport and new international airport, which is a little away from the island city. But that's also in the initial conception stage, and the initial construction works have been initiated by once again L&T on the grounds. This project has been built up over a land of almost 4.5 lakhs square feet. It's a total built up area. Around 22 acres of land is the overall expanse of this particular project. So, like with this figures, what I'm trying to inform you is about the scope and the quantum of work and the quantum of execution requirements that logically went through on this particular project. At any point in time, there were the largest volume of manpower or workmen working on the project was to the tune of 15,000 workmen. There were multiple fronts on which obviously all the works were happening parallelly, and there were more than 2,000 highly specialized contractors working. So the 200 contractors working physically on site, and our own employee strength of L&T was more than 4,000 plus. So you can just imagine the complexity of a project like this, where there are multiple fronts of the airport structure per se. There's a separate parking structure. Traditionally in Mumbai, parking has always been a major issue, and particularly on all the old airports and everywhere, the parking used to become a menace for any international airport. And here, the most critical and the most interesting part is that we've got a 10 level of parking physically constructed on site, which is a separate structure altogether, then connected with the main airport structure, and provide that seamless connectivity through vehicles on this particular airport. And particularly with the kind of volume of people continuously flowing in, all the international flights, as we know, are usually during the night time, whereas during the daytime, more of the domestic flights and a few of the international flights are moving. And that's why the peak really picks out much more during the night hours, when the traffic volumes are very high. So this is one very unique project which is constructed without affecting the existing airport or the existing flow of the commuters, even for a single day. Mumbai has only two airstrips walking on a diagonal shape, and every single day during the peak hours, every 3 minutes there is a flight either landing or taking off from this particular airstrip, and ensuring that not a single day the work has stopped. This unique feat L&T has been very successfully able to achieve, of creating one of the most beautiful airport in the world. So this is one thing. Uh, there are some very unique features that were and unique technologies that were logically used for executing a project of this particular size. There were uh, specific requirements of execution in terms of the excavation issues, because the land terrain was such that we had to get some very specialized technologies from overseas in terms of like bouldering the existing let's say excavations done in two different formats, which is never ever logically executed in India. And that in fact helped us to continue with the project without affecting the overall other parameters as well. So without getting much into the technologies, which would be becoming very lengthy and perhaps a little boring, I'll move over to the next type of project. This is Statue of Unity, the project which has given pride to our nation in front of the world. The tallest statue in the world, with Sardar Patel, the freedom fighter and one of the key members of our freedom struggle for India to get independence. This project once again is a humongous project carried out in a record time. And when this project was envisaged by the government of India also, they were genuinely skeptical about who could logically carry out this project, and is it possible to give it to one agency who can carry out all different and difficult uh, uh, parts of the project together and successfully deliver this project in time. Our respected Prime Minister, Mr. Modi, was so very keen that this project has to be done in a particular time, and it has to come out, of course, with the grandeur that was always expected out of this one. And that's when there were multiple rounds of discussions with so many agencies, and finally, yes, L&T was the successful agency who the entire government as well as Mr. Modi himself who gave his the saying, support in terms of the confidence to this agency. And the overall cost of the project has been 2,989, say around 3,000 crore. But more than the cost, the complexity of the project is very unique. The project has been executed in one specific terrain where, by default, logically, no normal human beings were locally traveling to this particular place, except for the local tribals. And then the terrain was absolutely difficult with the mountains, with the jungles all around. And envisaging this project, understanding the specific complexities involved in terms of the basic infrastructure first, the execution of the statue, as you are seeing, uh, is so very difficult that the difficulty of the statue to be created and erected was something very separate as compared to creating the basic infrastructure for the project. This is, as we all know, is the tallest structure in the world, tallest statue in the world with 182 meters tall. And this has been totally built over a period of 46 months, which is perhaps one of the shortest time ever thought of or used by any agency in the world. Now, talking about the statue itself, as we can see, this statue has been built with bronze panels, and the statue was the prototype was created initially on grounds which has been once again put into the exhibition center out there at the site, and on the prototype there were multiple discussions, multiple design factors which were considered. As you can see in this picture right away now, that Sardar Patel is having a shawl on his shoulder, and the fold of the shawl, as you can see on his right shoulder, is into two different dimensions, two different the layers. This was one of the very unique challenge which one would could not think of when the initial statue was first built in the prototype stage. But executing things to this particular depth or this particular requirement, uh, physically on site with the extent of 182 meters height, was one of the most challenging part. The total 6,500 plus bronze panels were designed, created, and once they were created, a steel structure was created on ground, which was supposed to support the entire this thing panels, bronze panels, to finally give the overall shape which we all are able to see now. To give you the quantum of this particular project, more than 70,000 metric ton of cement, more than 18,500 metric ton of rebars, reinforcement bars, 6,000 metric tons of structural steel has been physically utilized for constructing this particular project. Uh, uh, one very unique thing is about bronze. The kind of volume of bronze particularly used on on one single project is also a record. 1,700 metric ton of bronze is used for making this structure finally complete. The overall area of almost 20,000 square meter has been covered on this project, which includes the statue, the structure supporting the basic statue, the entire surrounding infrastructure, and the access to this particular location also is extremely challenging, and this is so beautifully executed. I would strongly recommend that whoever has not visited this place, as an engineer, as a project management professional, once you visit out there, you will feel that greatness of the execution that has been executed by human beings like you and me. And it's a beauty in itself in terms of a particular project, or a very well executed project, I would say. Moving on to the next one. As I said, that L&T is proud and always known for creating unique structures. Perhaps the most unique, the biggest, the largest, the tallest, the most beautiful kind of structures in the country of India, for sure. And this is about Motera Stadium. Motera Stadium is the largest cricket stadium in the world. Once again, the present government and our Prime Minister, Mr. Modi, was very keen on creating a landmark cricket stadium, which would be bringing a lot of pride to the country. As we all know, cricket is a kind of a religion in this country, and virtually every second Indian citizen loves cricket, follows cricket, and enjoys cricket like anything. So when the concept of this particular stadium also was thought of, the visualizers definitely were sure that they wanted to create the largest cricket stadium ever constructed in the world. And there was a huge survey which was done. And once again, like in this particular case, right from day one, L&T was selected and was given the opportunity to be a part of even the conceptualization process. and we were very fortunate in terms of trying to do a detailed survey of all the major on all the most prestigious, I would say, the stadiums in the world. And after doing a detailed survey, what we realized was that what were the major strengths of the most prestigious stadiums in the world, and how can we create a stadium which is having more of every single top factors and much more than any other stadium has ever physically constructed in in the world. So this is a stadium with a sitting capacity of 110,000 people simultaneously sitting and watching the popular game of cricket. The project was completed within 36 months, which is a very, very short period for an overall expanse of this thing. The beauty of the project is that it is not just a cricket stadium. It is a learning and training academy of cricket plus a few of the other sports along with the cricket stadium. It's spread across 63 acres and has 4 different entry points. It's so humongous that the entry points had to be multiple and at least 4 to be able to create a smooth access and exit out of the stadium location. As very specifically mentioned out here, the field size of the stadium has 180 yards by 150 yards. It's a perfectly circular stadium created with multiple galleries. For the first time in India, there have been more than 180 different galleries created within the stadium where usually when we watch cricket we saw that we usually see that there are about 2 or 3 special VIP galleries where air conditioned atmosphere is there and people can sit comfortably within the air conditioned atmosphere as well if they choose to and watch the match. Whereas here there are more than 100 such galleries parallelly available, which can be rented, which can be utilized for viewing this particular game of cricket. And this stadium has been is also getting utilized for various training sessions and various other sport training requirements also, including national games as well. So within the same project, there are 6 indoor practice pitches and 3 outdoor practice fields. So in the picture, we are able to see the only the scope of the stadium, only the building of the stadium. But beyond this circular shape of this structure, there are multiple outdoor pitches as well, where practice sessions can be carried out parallelly. So at any point in time, 4 different teams can keep playing and keep working on their practice requirements as well. So this is one very unique project which my organization has been very successfully able to execute. Once again, the largest and in a very, very short time frame. Okay, moving on to a record setting project. I've said I would like to present on 3 different parameters. One is the most unique projects. Now we're talking about some record setting projects. Now L&T has been given the responsibility of executing more than 3,000 residences by agency called SIDCO, which is a part of Navi Mumbai Development Authority. And there, more than 3,000 apartments are to be created. It's been divided into 3 phases, and 2 phases have been now given to L&T to execute. Now, while doing this, L&T has always been trying to look at different technologies, how to make things better, safer, more quality oriented, and faster. Because time is the money, and as we all understand that every single day of delay adds to the overheads, every single day of additional work adds to the cost of the project. So even in terms of the interest components, that huge capital outlays are already put out there. So L&T continuously has been trying in-house, even not only on the different projects that we are executing, but even on the research front as well. What are the technologies which do a wonder and some path-breaking advances in terms of all these critical parameters of quality, safety, and time. And here on this project of Sidco Towers, L&T took up a challenge of creating a record in this country. So there is a particular tower of ground plus 12 stories, and this tower is required to be executed executed. But from day one, we planned that why there are about, sorry, I need to add here that there are about 96 flats in this particular tower. So what is the unique thing that we can try and do? There are 96 flats, apartments, and can you complete 96 apartments in 96 days? So virtually apartment per day that we are trying to achieve. And we took up the challenge of taking up 96 apartments, 96, we call it Mission 96. That is 96 apartments to be started and respect with a key in your hand to physically move in and start occupying in 96 days. So this is an ultra rapid construction, and this is used using precast large concrete panel system. Precast structures is guarantee brought to this country more than 30 years back, and on various projects using precast components. But here the entire technology has been brought to its peak in terms of using multiple platforms of precast design, precast execution, and as I just now mentioned, large concrete panel system. Usually there are limitations of size of the precast panel that can be cast, shifted, and erected physically on site. Here, for the first time, we executed large concrete panels, which are ultra large in size, very heavy in terms of their weight also. And we successfully executed this to be able to complete 96 apartments in 96 days time. The total built up area for this particular tower has been 64,000 square feet. And that in total, for completing this 96 flats, rather apartments, it required 1,985 precast panels. So all the components of the tower, that is the wall, the slab, the column requirements in terms of the getting shifted to shear walls, foundations, all these things have been done using best of the precast technologies that could ever be utilized in this country. So uh, while we planned this, every single component of this project was planned from day one, right? The foundations had to be in situ physically on ground, but once the foundation is done and once we are at the ground level, the right from day one, the first panel getting physically erected on site, to the last panel getting physically erected on site, providing the basic overall structure ready was the first challenge. But traditionally is the structure which is to a large extent quite an organized field, which we all project execution people are aware of. But the complication was about getting the finishing activities along with all the services, as we call them, the MEP services, parallelly getting executed and executed to the best of the quality to be able to finally deliver the product ready on 96 days. In fact, there's a fantastic video of almost 5 minutes, which has been created for this particular project, which specifically talks about day one. The entire video shooting has been done for this project from day one to the 96 days. How the individual panels got erected, how the individual flows got completed, and how the other components of finishing and MEP got completed. That has been beautifully captured in the video. Unfortunately, due to the bandwidth limitations, I would not be able to share this particular video with you right away, right now. But it's been a fantastic experience of planning. This project is the unique feat achieved is not much about the technology or much about the execution skills. L&T always had all these components, but the what we mastered here was doing an impeccable planning of every single day. The day is divided into 3 shifts, and all the 3 shifts, every single hour monitoring in terms of initial planning, systematically allocating the resources, getting those resources physically executing the work, and achieving the target in such a way that for the next shift the people are able to take up the next sequence of activities without getting affected by any delay by the first shift, the earlier shift, to physically complete the work. So the planning has been impeccable. amazingly beautiful. And when this project was finally completed, this was appreciated by right at the ministry level, and all construction professionals in the country were very happy and proud to note and visit this particular place. So this is one unique feat the organization has been able to achieve in terms of the speed. Once again, in terms of the speed, I am making the mention of this particular project. This is a much smaller project in terms of the quantum that we are talking about. The size of the project has been not so large as compared to the larger projects of Motera Stadium or the Statue of Unity kind of thing. But once again, this is a project which has been taken up along with this Mission 96, where the DRDO, the Department of Research and Aviation Ministry together wanted to have a very unique structure created for the Aviation Ministry to have their own internal research and internal control requirements. Now, this being a defense project, it is extremely secretive. The limitations in terms of certain patches to be available and certain only restricted people to be able to physically access and have information about certain specific areas was very, very crucial. The total built up area for this project is 130,000 square feet. And uh, this entire project was once again taken up as a challenge from the DRDO. They wanted this particular setup to be created for a very specific defense requirement. And the requirement was very unique. So once again, without getting into any competition thing, government directly approached Larsen and Toubro and asked us that whether this kind of challenge are you able to take up. And yes, we proudly took up the challenge. We created state of the art flight control system integration, and this entire facility had different components of flight control system integration, which is under the government department of DRDO. And this is once again executed using integrated hybrid modular construction technology. So we used a lot of steel components, we used a lot of precast components, and we use multiple technologies coming together, because a construction of 130,000 square feet of built up area completed in 45 days time flat was the most unique part. Once again, there is a fantastic video available on this particular project as well, which unfortunately I'm not able to show you here right away. And once the project was completed on the 45th day, the minister, Mr. Rajnath Singh, personally came down to inaugurate this particular project, and very proudly declared the project open to the nation, and definitely appreciated the efforts of L&T in terms of conceptualizing the project, designing, and successfully executing a project as fast as this in 45 days time. So one more unique feat of doing perhaps the fastest construction in a different paradigm, different field altogether, other than residential, is one very unique feat about construction technology. Now, what is complex or what is different from the regular projects that we use is the complexity of utilizing the same space logically available for construction, yet delivering a huge area of 1 lakh 30 square feet within 45 days is the most complicated part. As you can see in the picture, the entire building has been glass clad. So carrying out the glass cladding on the entire external front itself is a very challenging thing, and which is definitely a huge time consuming factor, which had the major challenge. So integrating different components using RCC, structural steel, glass facade, and completing the inner services as well to be able to finally occupy the space within 45 days is one of the very, very challenging and key feature about successful execution of this project. Moving on to next amazing project which with the entire country is looking forward to is the bullet train. We all are aware of the bullet train project which has been taken up by India in collaboration and help and guidance from Japan as well, and of course funding from Japanese agencies. So bullet train we've been hearing about in Japan, in various European countries, and we always wondered a bullet train could logically be possible in a country like India. And yes, the ministry and the central government has taken a call of executing a bullet train project in India. Prime Minister officially declared the project open, and once again the search had been taken up in terms of finding the agencies who could successfully execute a technology and something unique for the first time in this country. So the patch of Mumbai to Ahmedabad bullet train, which is the first bullet train for the country of India, has been taken up by L&T as a contractor, as an executor of the project. The overall outlay of the project in terms of cost is 1.1 lakh crore rupees. So the quantum is amazingly huge. The challenge is to bring absolutely unique and different technology in our country, bringing the technology, providing the creating the infrastructure which is able to take this technology and get it executed, and not only planning, understanding the technology, but designing the infrastructure and executing the infrastructure which can make this technology viable on ground is the most challenging part about this particular project. The total distance of for the bullet train project is 508 kilometers, and the speed at which the train is designed to run is 320 kilometers per hour. Our regular trains have been continuously moving on different parts of the railway network at 40 to 60 kilometers an hour. And this is 320 kilometers per hour, which is a huge, a quantum jump from which was ever executed or ever done on the Indian soil. So duration without stops from Mumbai to Ahmedabad is expected to get completed in 2 hours time. Yes, train going at a speed like this, 8x speed, yeah, yeah, someone rightly observed that speed, increasing the speed to almost 8 times. Can you imagine the kind of vibrations, the kind of strength of the infrastructure, the kind of strength of the ground on which it is going to run, strength of the rails which are going to hold the train in place, and ability to maintain the alignment of the train in such a way that it doesn't cause any undue vibrations or lateral vibrations to bring it off the track. So this has been a fantastic, unique project once again, getting executed by L&T. This is one of the project, as I said, as a part of the third cluster, where the project is in progress, in very advanced stage of getting executed. The span between Ahmedabad to the Maharashtra boundary has been completed to a large extent in terms of the physical infrastructure. The testing of different modules of the overall infrastructure is already in progress, and further execution or construction beyond the Maharashtra border right up to the Mumbai station is also in advance. Due to certain political requirements, the land which is required to be given for this execution of the project was a question earlier, but now even that has been resolved and project is moving further. And we will be very soon seeing this unique technological feat being executed and ready to use on the Indian soil. So on this project, as I said, like the duration of 508 kilometers can be covered without stops in 2 hours, and with at least 2 to 3 multiple stops, it would take about 3 hours time, which presently is taking more than 7 to 8 hours time to physically travel from Ahmedabad to Mumbai. And this is not just one bullet train that the country is looking at. The country is systematically planning to get into a next level of technology achievement, technology enhancement, and create an infrastructure which is comparable with all the Western countries, including Europe and all advanced countries, to so that the country can go to the next level of economic development and become an economic superpower in the world. The major components, technical components, purely from civil construction side, I would like to explain is that there are more than 460 kilometers of viaducts created on this particular route. There are 12 stations designed to be executed. There are 9 river bridges of medium and large length. The smaller ones, we call them as culverts and not bridges, but they are 9-kilometer long river bridges have been designed, and a few of them are already executed physically on ground. There are multiple depots to be on either end to be able to do the proper servicing and maintain the entire system in the right shape and size. And there are multiple auxiliary works required to be executed. So right from the ground on which the rails are to be fitted to the electrical support system, which will be able to provide the support in terms of the electricity and the power for the train to run. There are multiple fronts on which this kind of challenging executions are done by this country and this organization. Okay, one more landmark project I would like to briefly talk about is because we are, I think, running short of time. I'm sorry, I've taken a little extra time in terms of explaining the nitty-gritties of the project. Mumbai Coastal Road Project is once again a very challenging and a very interesting infrastructure project taken up in Mumbai, in India, which is total outlay is more than 12,000 crores, and overall it's having 8 lanes and a total 29.2-kilometer long expressway is going to connect the iconic location of Marine Lines to the northern suburb of Kandivali. So it's a huge length. And as we all know, Mumbai being a very, very crowded city, the existing infrastructure of road is always insufficient to be able to provide very smooth and easy access to the vehicles. And there is multiple traffic jams which are observed, particularly in peak hours. So the ministry thought of and planned a coastal road which is continuously moving from the coastal line, the seaside, from Marine Lines area where we all are aware of the gateway and the Marine Lines beautiful Queen's necklace. From there, the coastal road is supposed to travel all along the coast right up to this northern suburb of Kandivali, and which there are 2 lanes specifically dedicated for bus rapid transit system, because Mumbai is having huge population and the mass needs to have a virtually stopless or virtually disturbance-less traffic, and for that 2 lanes are specifically designed for bus movement. Overall saving time is to the tune of 80 minutes in this entire almost 1.5 hour is getting saved in the overall travel time for this particular distance. The phase one of constructing 9.98 kilometers of coastal road from the southern part of the Mumbai near Princess Street flyover to Bandra Sea Link, and which has one of the longest underground tunnel passing below Girgaon Chowpatty. People knowing about Mumbai are definitely aware of Chowpatty sea beach out there, and this is a tunnel which is going below Chowpatty, uh, and it's one of the longest underground tunnel created in India once again by L&T. So there is an interchange which has been planned at Haji Ali. This picture is exactly at a location called Haji Ali, where there is an interchange which has been planned, and uh, people from different directions of the city could logically come in and get provide the exit also on this particular interchange. So this is once again a massive infrastructure project which is having multiple complexities of planning the infrastructure, getting the infrastructure actually executed overseas, over coastal areas, over without disturbing the existing city traffic to a large extent, allowing the people to keep moving on their day-to-day requirements, and yet executing something as mammoth as this is one of the most challenging thing. Land reclamation at the moment is not much. In fact, it's entire coast which is utilized. There have been multiple the same possibilities of land reclamations assessed and recommended to the government, which are under consideration at this moment. Okay. I'll just cover one more infra project before we start the question answer session. One more major infra project, which is also once again going to change the entire traffic movement of the of regular commuters as well as heavy saying cargo transportation to a large extent, is Mumbai Trans Harbour Link. This also project has about 18,000 crores of total outlay in terms of rupees. And this is a project which is going to connect the South Mumbai portion called Shivri to the one of the largest port near Mumbai, which is called Nhava Sheva Port. So Nhava Sheva Port has all the national and international cargo coming on that. And from that particular port, all the cargo is supposed to travel inside the city and to the different parts of the state and different parts of the country, and connect creating this particular bridge over the sea, which is expanding to the length of 21.8 kilometers, including 16.5 kilometers is absolutely over sea, and the remaining components are partially over the nearby land areas. There are about 5.3 kilometers of viaduct on on land on either side getting created. And this project is also in very advanced stage. The project is going to save more than 90 minutes of travel time. You can just imagine from Mumbai, from Shivri, you can take a car and reach over to Nava Sheva in say about 20-22 minutes time, which is unique and which is absolutely fantastic in terms of providing the comfort of transportation, and in turn the huge increase in the overall business for the cargo transportations. This is going to be the longest sea bridge in India, which is almost, I would say, 70% plus completed. The larger construction component is completed to a large extent. The additional infrastructure support is getting executed. This particular picture is not the latest one. The latest one has much more work physically done and completed, which can be seen on site. So with this, I would like to conclude the first session in terms of trying to explain the variation in the different types of execution, largely in infrastructure, and not only letting limited to infrastructure, but creating unique structures of the fastest residential projects to the fastest commercial towers. And that's where the challenges are taken and successfully executed. Yes, Sonali, over to you.
Yes. Thank you, Mr. Pranav, for sharing details of all the world leading and record setting projects with us. I'm sure we all are spellbound, and I'm sure the audience will agree with me. So we have a lot of interest, Pranav, and just to let you know, we have audience today attending from different states of India. We have audience from Malaysia, Sri Lanka, Bangladesh, US. We have some from Europe. Okay, just for your information. And
Very nice to know.
yeah, thank you. We have received a good set of questions. There is a lot of interest from the audience in this session. So some questions which Anil has raised, I will pose them with you. So
Please go ahead.
for the Mumbai International Airport, the T2 terminal, did L&T define the scope independently or was it along with the government?
It was along with the government.
Okay. And for a typical small residential project, typically how many contractors are employed?
At any point in time, the residential project is divided into structure, RCC structure, finishing items, and services. So there are for regarding RCC, there are 2 or 3 contractors. For finishes, there are multiple contractors to the tune of 4 to 6, and for services, at least 3 to 4 contractors, bare minimum, utilized for executing a small size of residential project.
Mhm. Okay. What parameters are used by L&T to ensure that the tallest statue, which is the Sardar Patel statue, will last for 100 years?
Yeah, that's a very interesting factor. The when the structure of this size are created, they are created for a century, and yes, it was decided and promised that it has to last the lifetime of at least three generations. So the structure which is physically getting which has been erected to support the outer brass the same cladding has been specifically treated with highly specialized technologies, and they've been treated at multiple locations to create a coating which ensures that the decaying through the rusting of the steel gets to the bare minimum, and even if a certain part of it is found to be affected, it can be quickly treated without allowing it to spread further. The entire external facade, the look which is getting created on the statue is using brass panels, and these are not pure brass, but they have been once again highly treated brass panels with different chemical coatings and different treatments done over it, so that it can withstand the direct bright sunlight. That area is very dry and bright, so heavy sunlight, at the same time rains, and at the same time different weather conditions with very heavy wind it can sustain, and yet stay out there for a period of nothing less than 17 to 100 years.
Oh, wow. Oh, so it's not just 100 years, it's 7 to 8 times of 100 years.
It's 70 to 100 years, not 70.
70 to 100. Okay, okay.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Yeah.
No problem. Thank you. And how is quality ensured in case of projects like the Motera project, which was a high speed project?
Yeah, in any high speed project, the most challenging component, number one, is safety, and second is quality. So when it comes to quality, the quality parameters right at the design stage have been very elaborately predefined. The material sourcing is the most critical one, because once the material source is going through the right quality parameters and not allowed to enter the premises of the execution without having quality checks itself. So that's the first stage at which the quality are checked in terms of the material. Second most critical component is the quality of the execution and the workmanship, and that's what really makes a lot of difference. In spite of having a very good quality of material, during the execution front, all the individual activities have been predefined, and having predefined, there is a separate team of specialized people who are executing it, and parallelly there is an audit team which is continuously auditing the quality parameters of individual items getting executed. There are audit which are created which are run on a day-to-day basis on a prestigious projects like this. There are audit third party audits, audit teams which are continuously monitoring the quality parameters on a monthly basis, and then there are cross function audits as well continuously done on this kind of projects to ensure that at no point in time no part of the execution front also gets affected due to any workmanship issues as well. So workmanship along with the material control takes care of more than 90% of the issues, and then once again before handing over, the entire system and every single work is required to undergo quality checks and parameters.
Okay, thank you. Can rapid construction methods be used for heritage projects also?
We did for heritage project also. This one particular this statue of unity is having a heritage component, and there are multiple heritage projects organization is taken up, and yes, end of the day, just doing a project or and creating Taj Mahal is not the challenge. Now people want Taj Mahal to be done not in 20, 12 and 15 years, but in 2 and 3 years time. So statue of unity is one example of a structure with complexity of perhaps more than Taj Mahal getting executed in 36 or 45 months time.
Right, right. True. Okay. Why do we need so many viaducts? And what
See,
were the project management challenges?
yeah, viaducts is critically required, particularly for areas where there is water component on the ground. Whenever some particular structure is getting created, which is supposed to overpass water component or a sea area, that's where the viaducts are the ones which create the underground passage and creates the seamless and smooth flow of continuity of the execution as well as the final usage of the passage of commuting. So viaducts are a critical component, and they are a part of the standard design parameters which are used for structures like this, particularly in infrastructure projects.
Okay, okay. What are L&T's other projects apart from Maharashtra across the country?
Uh, uh, there there are huge and multiple projects continuously happening all over the country, like in different terrains of Kargil to bottommost corner of Tamil Nadu, even in Sri Lanka, L&T is executing multiple projects. So, in terms of infrastructure, I would say that any major challenging infrastructure project which has multiple complications, and for the first time things are getting executed, by default the preference is given to L&T, because the kind of challenges L&T has taken in terms of creating ports, creating bridges, creating online projects like stadiums to statues. There are multiple varied projects which are continuously getting executed by L&T. L&T is also into defense and creating specific ports as well, just for your information.
Okay, thank you. Is there a provision for a parallel railway line in Mumbai Trans Harbour Link?
See, the major challenge of creating any railway line is not the technology, but the land being available. Physically, when you are already having a railway line, create like getting land to be able to execute a parallel line itself, particularly in trans harbour link also, the major challenge and major time taken by the project was not in terms of devising the technology, designing the technology, and getting the technology physically on ground, but the more challenging component was to get the land and the continuous passage of land which allows the railway line to be executed. So parallel line, there are multiple thought processes, there are multiple designs ready and kept ready in terms of plan Bs also by the transportation ministry. But the ability to execute them is always going to be a challenge in a thickly populated country like India.
Right. Okay. So Kishore is asking, what are the logistic challenges between a horizontal project and a vertical project like Statue of Unity?
Yeah,
The
that's a
difference.
very good technical question. Horizontal projects challenges are in terms of the passage, physical finding the way and ability to transport the material and manpower to those specific locations. So in this project of Statue of Unity itself, there was not only a vertical challenge, but there was a genuine horizontal challenge of accessing that particular land place. In terms of the terrain was extremely difficult to physically access. Even in terms of executing that particular location, we had to do control blasting in so many locations and create some basic flat areas to be able to set up our shops and set up our setups and yards and everything to be able to physically work out there. So horizontal transportation is more to be able to take the manpower and the infrastructure physically at the location. But as in places like Mumbai and a project like Statue of Unity, the vertical transportation is a major challenge where there is limitations of space available, limitations of load that can be physically picked up from the bottom and taking it right up to the top without affecting the surrounding areas, without affecting the people or the same structures all around, because uh, we traditionally the cranes are used to lift the heavy material from a particular location from the bottom and take into the different heights altogether. But when the cranes are moving around the places which are thickly populated, there is a huge challenge in terms of the movement of the crane, the expanse up to which the cranes can pick up and physically expand the load carrying areas as well. So height at which the loads are to be taken, the load maximum weight that can be carried in terms of those heights are a totally different challenge in itself. And with L&T, the beauty is that the kind of advanced technology and equipment required to execute something unique of this size is something which L&T has been very successfully able to do over last five decades for sure.
Right. Thank you. There's a question from Darshan on Mumbai Trans Harbour Link. So he is
Yeah.
asking what is the delay and does this and how much of cost escalation has resulted due to the delay?
Yeah. See, any infrastructure project, as we know, and particularly in a country like India, which is having, considering and always considering the different viewpoints of all different stakeholders, little bit of delay in terms of the local limitations, the land, grabbing and getting the land physically, getting the access, and objections by certain specific stakeholders in terms of their discomfort or their problems is bound to be there. On this particular project, fortunately, I would say this could be one of the few large infrastructure bridge projects where the delays have been virtually very minimal. The project is expected to go live by September or latest by October of 2023. And yeah, when there are delays, there are bound to be additional components in terms of time related cost getting added, and plus additional some certain design changes requirements also there. But I would not like to talk about the commercial component of this particular project in this particular forum.
Right. Okay. Is L&T also working on the Mumbai Metro construction activities?
Obviously, the Mumbai Metro is one of the most talked about and most favorite infrastructure project associated with the city of Mumbai. And of course, the success of this particular project all over is going to take the entire country to a different level of metro networking that can logically be done and can be successfully executed. So L&T is taken up one of the most critical parts of Mumbai Metro executions, particularly in the South Mumbai, where the traffic is one of the craziest, and there are huge prestigious parts like the commercial area, the areas having the our high court and government structures. So in those areas where the challenges are going to be perhaps the most has been taken up by L&T in terms of the metro construction, and even the largest underground tunnel to be created for metro is also being executed by L&T.
Okay. Thank you. Soumitra says, did you use EVM for the airport project? And how was the scheduling managed? And what was the organization structure that was used for managing 4,000 employees?
Yeah, certainly. This was in terms of the size, and as you rightly said, more than 4,000 employees. The complexity of this particular project was to execute the project without affecting the present running of the existing airport. And that's where, yes, multiple technologies, multiple fronts, multiple teams came together. And traditionally, like when we say how do you manage a large project, a large project is also divided into smaller individual projects which get uh, associated with each other at specific point in time, at specific stage at which the project gets executed. So with more than 4,000 employees, yes, not all the 4,000 employees were reporting to one particular team of head. The project was divided into multiple teams and multiple projects of at least 12 major components which were independently working without even getting into each other's interaction. And that was the success of successfully executing different this thing, parameters or different parts of the project without affecting each other. And yes, technologies, multiple technologies. The team reporting structure is something which I would like to discuss with you one to one whenever you have time, because that would take nothing less than 2 to 3 hours of explaining the structure physically used on a complex project like this. So in this particular forum, I'm sorry, I will not be able to talk in detail on these aspects at this moment.
Right. So the audience can connect with you post the session.
Definitely. Feel free.
Okay. So Swagat is asking, what is the next big project for L&T?
There's nothing like next big. We always do big. So there are multiple big projects parallelly right now getting executed. There are so many in pipeline and in the tendering stage, and perhaps a few of them are almost finalized with L&T. But that is going to be more of a, I would say, commercial or policy related announcement, which I would like my organization to make. I am not the person to make this announcements at this moment.
Okay. So Rutuparna is asking, what is the biggest challenge you faced for Mumbai International Airport and how was it overcome?
Mm, unlike the other projects, in terms of the technical issues and the execution issues, the biggest challenge for airport project was the managing the locals. A part of the project was towards the Ghatkopar side, where local lot of thing, hutments were there, and the government as well as the principal owner of the project promised to provide the access and the space by redeveloping those areas and providing the right alternative to those locals. But it never happened. Even today, after project is completed and the airport is running, those areas are still unattended, and which cause a huge challenge in terms of day to day stoppage of the work, trying to create issues, and not having those areas available for for creating our yards or for creating the construction comfort and the basic minimum infrastructure requirement that is required for a complex project like this.
Okay, okay. Samir is asking what are the references used for estimating budgets and timeline for large project execution?
References, yes, I would say, as I made the first statement, that L&T is been the most successful and the largest construction contractor in this country. And L&T is not only working in India, but even L&T is working in 60 different countries parallelly, including Africa and including Middle East, including Southeast Asia as well. So there are so many different projects at which L&T is continuously working on different technologies, different construction execution requirements, and then there is a lot of learning. At the same time, L&T is one professionally managed company which has a separate cell of continuous improvement and development. There is a huge department and a huge budget continuously provided for improvement in terms of technology, improvement in terms of training, and creating technological platforms where whatever we are using at this moment is not we are restricted to, but whatever we plan and envisage or dream to use over a period of time. And parallelly, what technologies, what different platforms are used by different organizations all over the world. There are different platforms getting utilized for aerospace industry and defense industry, or in different parts of the world, and even those references are continuously taken, and there is a separate development and training session, training department which continuously works on this. So you become an industry leader not by just executing, but definitely envisaging and continuously improving on your technology front, allowing you to become more efficient and faster and better.
Right, thank you. So a question from Darshan. He wants to know when is the Thane Vadala metro going live?
Manala Metro, I am not in a position to answer that question. I'm sorry. I would also love to have that answer for sure.
I think yes, all Mumbaikars would
All Mumbaikas
love
would. I
it.
agree with you. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. So the next question. Okay. This is on the airport again. This is from Kishore. So
Yeah.
he's asking about the airport project. Was it planned at earlier stage and it went expanding from large to today's mega project, or it was planned and executed at the same time?
No, no, the planning had been happening for more than 20, 25 years uh, with the local government. The issue is that uh, there are local challenges in terms of the land availability, in terms of the expanse logically possible, and always been the limitation in terms of the airstrip. Mumbai airport still has only two airstrips which are not parallel to each other, but they are crossing each other. And with that limitation, uh, the expansion programs are have been planned so many different times, so many different technologies, but executing it over a period of time without affecting the existing traffic has been a challenge, and that's why stage wise planning, the overall planning and then stage wise execution has been the key thing for this project expansion.
Okay. Right. So the next question is from Sachin. He's asking what are the project management challenges in terms of conventional project versus agile projects?
uh, the word agile itself talks about that it's impromptu, immediate requirement, live. the projects and large infrastructure projects, there are so many components which you cannot even envisage, even with the best of the technical expertise and huge experience also. So basically the execution and the team is continuously aware, and they are continuously on ground in terms of the challenges coming up. Not a single day of this project life is same or similar, and which can be 100% predicted. Every single day comes with some new challenge. The challenge could be purely related to your technical or execution requirements, and the challenge could be purely political, that suddenly some political front, somebody is coming and creating issues saying this can, no, we can't allow you to proceed further because of a minor issue of some worker somewhere not attended properly by a subcontractor of the project somewhere, to the tune of some critical issues like when this war of Russia came up. Certain critical components, particularly pertaining to raw materials like copper and aluminum, suddenly became not available. With microchips coming from China and Taiwan, suddenly the because of the political instability and for certain issues, they became unavailable. The entire auto sector, auto market sector has been affected. Similarly, lot of such challenges do come up, and you cannot envisage this kind of things in initially. So in an agile project, the challenges are continuous every day coming up, and at the same time there is a separate team which is continuously looking at this and trying to immediately look act and provide plan B. Suppose any project that we try and usually do differently, there is always a plan B and C created. So one has to then immediately look at the possibility of implementing plan B or plan C to be able to provide the continuity of the project, because continuity is the key.
Right. So very important. Okay, the next question is from Manoj, and he's asking what type of tools and application is used for monitoring such type of large projects.
Great. This is what exactly I'm going to talk about in the second session, where I've just informed about the huge projects that L&T has been executing. But now, what are the different technologies used? They are just part of small part of the overall technologies continuously used, but some which I am aware of and which I can present logically would be a part of my second session.
Okay, sure, we'll come to that. So Kishore is asking, were the cranes located at ground level or at intermediate heights for the Statue of Unity?
No, crane had to be located at ground because the height at which we were talking about and the wind force getting created at those heights because of absolutely open area was very unique. In fact, the two legs that we are seeing of the statue, they are the core, and the cores were first erected in which finally the both the elevators to be able to go to the viewing gallery has been created. So they were the two key components from which we went on expanding. So there were multiple crane used, and the main cranes were located on the ground, and then there were additional support cranes were utilized at different levels.
Okay, thank you. Kishore has a follow-up question. He says, is it better to have two shifts with overtime or three shifts for 24 by 7 projects?
It depends on the commercial viability as always. See, certain localities have a very peculiar limitations of the workforce. At the same time, certain highly skilled workforce as such is very limited. So depending on the commercial viability, it could be utilized in different combinations. In fact, different stage of the project also, you could use two shift or three shift requirement. I always preferred because I've been associated with two such fast track projects, and in which I've always preferred that continuous working 24 by 7 is always something which can logically help if you are able to plan it in advance and get the right resources for.
Okay. Anil has a question on the functional design of the Mumbai airport, which he says is not good.
Okay.
Yeah, so who was handling that aspect is what he wants to know.
See, the overall design of the project is not something within the purview of the contractor. It is always the owner of the project. In this case, the international project is obviously under the Airport Authority of India, and the concept, the thought process, or the entire scope of the project is designed by that respective authority. Yes, the contractor is definitely involved in terms of making minor or smaller changes in terms of the internal requirements, but larger aspects are designed by the authority, and in terms of possibility or availability of the access and all the limitations of the ground. So functionally, this is not the ideal, because if you try and compare with a greenfield project, the greenfield projects have a totally different opportunity available in terms of design and execution. Here, the limitation was that right in the heart of the city, you are executing an international project.
Right, very true, Pranav. Okay, so I think we can now take a short break of 15 minutes.
Sure.
Yeah?
So it's 11:15. I believe we can regroup at 11:30.
Yes, sure. We'll resume at 11:30.
Right here. Thank you. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you, everybody.
Sonali, can we talk?
I can hear you, sir. Pranav, sir.
Sonali?
Yes, Pranav, sir, I can hear you. Good morning, everybody. We are back after the short break. Pranav sir is also here with us. And so far, we have seen the large projects undertaken by L&T. And now Pranav sir is going to take us through the tools, technologies, and the applications which are widely used for such projects. Over to you, Pranav sir. Sir, I think you're on mute. Please check. Sunil sir, please check.
Yeah. Hello. Hello.
Yes, we can hear you now. Yes,
I'm
Pranav
sorry.
sir,
I'm
you're audible
sorry.
now.
Yeah. Sorry. Welcome back. I hope the first session has not been very heavy or too metal oriented. And the intent was just to give a brief understanding on the variations and the size and quantum of projects that has been actually executed by I would say this is the tip of the iceberg. The fact is that I'm also being associated with L&D for a long time, not aware of so many projects done on the project presently happening also. More or less, the intent is to understand the variation in the complexity uh, and the intent and how things can be better handled. Um, yeah, I believe the
Your voice is breaking, sir.
This entire, yeah. I think there were some disturbances. Are you able to hear me clearly now? Okay,
Yes,
I'm continuing
yeah,
assuming. Yeah, I'm assuming you guys are able to hear me clearly now. So
yeah, we
let's
can.
take it forward. Yeah, thank you. So the next, so just briefly touch, just to give an understanding on the further uh, the last transit-oriented development in India, where the transportation ministry thought of a new model where a new railway station would be developed. So designed, developed, and executed by agency along with development and being absolutely out of the to people in terms of getting uh, environment well, very advanced level of transportation infrastructure with uh, spaces nearby and residential spaces along with malls. So, work concept and to a large extent, latest technologies and the infrastructure developments are available in the single cluster. And this is once again project which has been taken up by LT, spread over almost 40 acres. This is just a picture which I tried to show you, where the central portion, the lava portion is above the station, and on the left side you could see the larger there is one very beautiful mall, perhaps one of the most beautiful malls of Mumbai, is presently right next to it, and there are now residential developments happening, where actually people can go walk to work at the same time enjoy one of the best mall experiences available in the locality. Okay, this is one of the largest residential complex where six towers of almost 60 stories each have been constructed right next to each other, forming a crescent, and about 1,500 apartments in one single complex with 10 levels of parking uh, spread over 14 acres. So this is am I am I audible? Hello.
Yes, now we can hear you. Now we can hear you, but there was some trouble. So,
Yeah.
sir, just check that nobody else is using the bandwidth that you are using. Please check
Yeah,
that.
it's I'm on my hotspot, in fact.
Right, right. So nobody else is using or sharing the bandwidth with you at home.
Definitely not. Definitely not.
Okay, okay.
Okay, so this is once again a very unique residential project. If you are in Mumbai and it's possible for you, you can visit this place in Parel area, where 1,500 apartments are created with state-of-the-art clubhouse and recreation facilities and amenities. And the most unique thing is that at 21st habitable level, so effectively almost at 31st floor level, all the six towers are linked with each other through a continuous link, as you can see in this picture, where there is a jogging park. So just imagine on 31st floor you are having a jogging track of almost 600 meters continuous, and if you're jogging on that particular area where both the sides of the jogging track you could see sea. So on one side it is the western side of sea, and the other side is the dock side of the sea continuously available. So this is also a very unique the residential development which has been executed, and fortunately I've been a part of this particular project to a large extent. The fastest, as we talked about, this is my present project which I'm about to hand over in next 10 to 15 days time, where two commercial towers of a total built up area of almost 13.7 lakh square feet has been executed with two basement and 15 upper floors, which is going to totally occupy 6,000 plus seats. This is an IT building where our L&T Infotech, our IT arm of L&T Group, is going to occupy this particular tower, which is one of the most modern and most beautiful IT structures in Mumbai created in recent times. This is a project which has been executed flat 16 months period, which is a record of uh, creating a project ready in such short time period in India for sure. Here also, now why I'm making a mention of this particular tower is just not to glorify my achievements, but more of introduction of a technology. Here, if you typically go by RCC technology, it would it would certainly take a lot more time, and the whole execution period could increase by almost 60 to 70% more in as compared to what we've been able to achieve. And that's why we looked at alternatives, and we looked at technology of steel structure. Now, steel structure is known to everybody, but pure steel structure has its own limitations, and over a period of time with vibration issues, there are multiple complications. So we went through one additional innovation of concrete fuse. So we use steel structures to bring speed to quickly complete the basic structure in time, and then to add further to the time saving, we also use the two very innovative technology of precast. Now precast is being used for the superstructure, but for the first time we use precast foundations here, very successfully executed, which is very unique even for L&T itself, that it's not something very complicated, very unique to use successfully in this particular case. We also uh, had the largest control blasting site in entire Mumbai in terms of excavating 200,000 cubic meter of hard basalt rock in a span of just 3 months. This is one perhaps a record in India as on today in terms of control blasting situations, because uh, in open mines people can go on doing the blasts and huge volumes are excavated. But here there are surrounding industries, surrounding offices, and without affecting them, without allowing them to stop their work even for a day, we successfully executed two, three different very innovative technologies here, and create a platform for this technology to be used for on multiple projects in future. And that's why the mention of this project as well. Okay, one more project which I would like to consider as a feather in recap is the 6 towers of precast. These are the tallest total precast towers in India, executed by L&T, and I'm the proud project manager of this particular project, where we had ground plus 22 floors, and three of the buildings ground plus 23 floors, which is a maximum height allowed for a high-rise building on precast at this moment earlier so far. And the complexity of this thing is that it is right within a very thickly populated Parel area, where every single square feet of construction area is critical for access, for shifting the material, for carrying out the actual execution activities. And that's why we went for precast, which allowed minimum activity of construction on site. And it is more of a precast component created somewhere else in a precast yard, physically transported to site, and using multiple cranes, erecting those precast components quickly and in right sequence to be able to complete this project in a very fast manner. We did more than 2,000 apartments in the 6 towers, spread over about 14 lakh square feet of built up area, and in a span of 44 months. So this is once again about technology, which I'm going to now talk about, that what are different technologies, what are the different innovations that I have or my organization has tried recently. Okay, now I will talk about the technology and the innovations that I'm aware of myself and I'm able to present to you. In a steel structure, the slabs could be very innovative slabs or traditional RCC shuttering, and on that putting reinforcement and casting the slabs. But that once again takes a lot of time. In the present towers which I've recently completed, we wanted to create a record of completing it in shortest possible time. So that's why we have gone for this new, the innovative thought process of using composite profile deck slabs, which are still profiles which are physically laid over structure, reinforcement is laid over that, and slab is cast. The beauty is that the time can be optimized for not doing any shuttering, or de-shuttering works, and the ancillary works of shifting materials can be reduced. Physical construction related activities are minimized using this kind of profiled steel sections. Then this is directly giving us a benefit of almost 30% saving in the overall construction time. So without compromising the quality or the strength of the structure, this particular technology used provided us a 30% saving on the overall construction time. Once again, on the same project, we use one more innovation, which is called a concrete filled tubes. Now, people associated with this steel construction would be aware that the advantage of steel is that components are fabricated ready, and this steel columns, steel beams, steel slabs can be brought on site and then physically erected. Now, in a typical RCC construction, you go floor by floor, and you have to construct one floor column and then do the slab, beam and slabs, and then go for the next level of columns. Whereas in steel, the advantage is you erect the steel columns for two floor heights together. So that optimizes and that gives additional reduces the time of construction. But the limitations are that when we are erecting huge structures, and as you can see in the picture, it's a very complex network of columns and beams and slab, where parallel steel construction, when it is happening, it could cause lateral sways and could change the form and the size of the product that you're trying to achieve. So to optimize on that, the structure concept that was used was that columns were in terms of tubes, square tubes filled with concrete in the center. That would provide them the stability to remain erect and not allow the structure to sway in either of the directions, by and thereby not changing the actual dimensions of the end product. So this is one more CFT, concrete filled tubes, is one technology which is very successfully used and confirmed in terms of rapid construction technology requirements. Okay, one more thing which we all are aware of, that is about 3D printing. This is perhaps one of the most interesting and I would say one of the most uh, talked about aspect of construction, which is found to be of interest on all different parameters of its applicability. But 3D printing has been successfully utilized by us actually on grounds on a bungalow project. L&T construction, L&T Realty along with L&T construction has prepared a sample construction. The bottom right picture which you are seeing is the picture of a particular bungalow structure created using 3D printing by L&T, and a sample bungalow has been created and found to be absolutely acceptable in the design parameters, because 3D printing as a technology is beautiful, it's fast, it's precise. Yes, initially the capital outlay is going to be a question mark in terms of the cost, but the applicability to create quick construction is something which for which the technology is being envisaged by all constructors all over the world. And presently we have started using this technology for different components. We are doing various research and various experimentations in terms of different components of the construction structures where 3D printing could be utilized. The present limitation at the moment which we could see is that the technology is successfully used for ground plus one, in very specific cases, ground plus two level structures. But structures higher than that, the present technology is having its own limitations, and people are actually working on even removing those limitations as well. Second important part is being new, and the equipment execution requirements also very expensive and less. So with the volumes and with the multiple applications coming in place, I am pretty sure this technology is also going to be successfully utilized in faster, precise, and most effective construction requirements. In the second picture on the bottom, second left, you can see the walls created with those gaps in between. Now these gaps are so smartly utilized for occupying the services within, creating the insulation in terms of sound, creating the insulation in terms of heat, and thereby reducing the effective load on the air conditioning requirement as well. So there are multiple advantages, there are multiple shortfalls on which the technological workings are presently happening. Okay, the most common and most successfully utilized technology for advancement in the construction is the BIM design. Uh, BIM design, I am pretty sure many of the construction related people are already aware of, which is about building information management. And it's basically talking about multiple designs being coming on the same platform. So it's basically 3D designs where we have the drawings prepared on 2D measure, that the plans, the elevations, the sections are created. But using the technology, that is benefit of digitization, where the designing is done for 2D platform, that is the plans are created, the elevations are created, different sections are created, and then that is combined together on a 3D platform where every single component of the structure, every single component of the services are combined together to understand the collisions, the complexity of any particular member affecting the other. Because once the structure is designed, on the basis of the structure, the services are logically as a second part designed to come over the structure and provide the further the service benefits. But it's so many times during the execution it is observed that the services do find certain problems, and certain local variations are required to be done, where structure having been constructed, it becomes a limitation. And particularly for places with a limited height, the heights gets further compromise in terms of services, because structure is done with slabs and beams. And if the beams are not designed for those services to go through those beams, then end of the day you have to pass those services below the beam, which ends up reducing the effective height available for that particular floor. So to avoid this, this is one of the very simplest of the problem that I've talked about, but there are multiple complicated issues pertaining to the shafts and intersections of the services as well, which are overcome using BIM design. And this is very, very successfully used all over the world by all the designers now, because this is now the basic platform on which any designs for any structures are nowadays prepared. And any organization with good advancement in the technology always prefers to use BIM design. Here you can see this, my present project of two towers are put on the beam. The upper picture is talking about the overall structure with a bird's eye view, and the lower picture talks about a particular floor where different services are given different colors, and those services how they are going through. So having seen the services going through in different dimensions and different levels, one is able to clearly understand and find out the collision possibilities, and based on that, if at all any problems are going to occur in terms of actual execution. Okay, one AI based artificial intelligence and digitization technology based solution that we successfully used on my own project presently. These are actually the pictures of my own project which I'm able to now finally hand over. This is about augmented reality at site. Now, once the plans are created ready on BIM model, then as you can see the bottom left picture, that is a picture taken from the BIM model of the structure. This is a commercial tower with four levels of parking. The first four dark levels are the parking levels, and after that the typical office structure starts. Now having prepared this picture ready, at the time of execution, the right side column of the two pictures, the top picture is about the actual site condition of a particular states when two levels of parkings have been erected physically on site, and the third and fourth level are physically getting executed on site. And then having taken this picture, we simply overlap that particular picture with the BIM model picture to try and understand that what are going to be the further complications, what are going to be the further critical requirements. Because this being a project with a challenge of getting completed in 16 months itself was never tried or thought of or executed anywhere in India. So when we took up this challenge, we had to find this technological advancements to try and understand the possible challenges that could logically come and overcome it by using this kind of technologies, where we are aware that with these two uh, the bottom right picture is the final result of overlapping these two pictures one over the other, where the actual position of the cranes are understood, and then the limitation of a particular crane to be able to reach the extreme corner and parallelly carry out the other parts of the structures as well. So there are multiple things which are envisaged, planned, and used to avoid further complications and further delays, if at all any, using this kind of digital technologies. Okay, so with this, I'll come to we talked about the technologies. Now I'll talk about the standard process or typical project life cycle, um, particularly in L&T Realty. We once again, L&T Realty is the real estate arm of L&T Construction, L&T Group as such, where we develop residential, commercial, and transit-oriented structures, and we sell them as a developer. So typically on a project, almost 80% of our projects are residential in the present division where I'm working. And so the entire project is divided into five different components. The first is about definitely the conception and initiation. So the entire development possibilities, logical options in terms of overall maximum construction area with best of the construction technology possible, at the same time creating maximum value out of the project. Because any project, if taking a residential project, the intent is to create a project which gives maximum usable area to the end users with best of the feel, best of the experience of creating excellent amenities, creating maximum green areas available, and creating that beautiful environment, which is a contribution not only to the end user but to the overall society as well. Now, at the same time, the cost has to be looked at. The most important part that L&T usually looks at is the safety parameters. For any execution projects, the safety parameters are of prime importance. Then, of course, quality, and third is obviously the time frame within which we have to finish this, because the cost has an impact of on the three major parameters earlier. So cost would obviously come as the fourth and really critical parameter as well. So the project is devised into five components, starting with conceptualization and initiation, based on which the designs are frozen to a large extent. Further, the specifications and planning, the definition of individual specifications and detailed planning is the second stage. So before starting any execution, to a large extent, almost 90% of the critical planning is completed to decide the exact requirement of the right resources and the right time frame where those resources are going to be required. Resources in terms of manpower, resources in terms of the equipments, and the resource in terms of the funds flow requirement, because all these components would have an interdependency on each other. Once these things are completed to a major extent, then the actual launch and the execution starts, where specific based on the optimized execution strategy, the different components of execution structures are executed using best of the technologies logically available, using all the innovations that could come up, and even improvisations of the existing technologies as well, using different alternative possibilities. In fact, L&T is known for experimenting various improvisations also. So, in fact, there have been projects on which we promised certain things to the end users, and we could end up delivering more than what we promised, creating a wow value to the and product requirements. And that's what has been the way of creating a brand and growing continuously. Once the execution is started, then the next critical important requirement is continuous monitoring on the performance and control on the quality parameters, because utmost important issues are maintaining the quality at every stage of the project and ensuring that all the execution fronts are parallelly functioning in the same requirement as it was originally planned. So regular progress reviews, MIS reports, and observing the critical path to be able to continuously control any deviations which are logically supposed to come. Most important part during this part is the cost control, because there are various factors under which different cost variations could logically happen, and then maintaining a strict vigil and control over that is always a very critical part. The final stage is the closure of the project. That's when we ensure that all critical execution parameters are completed, the quality parameters have been ensured, and the final end product is exactly in line with or better than what we have already promised for the final end product requirements. Parallelly, critical requirements is to get the right statutory approvals as well, because no structure once completed is ready to be used unless the compliance requirements are done, statutory approvals are issued, and then the project is declared as a closure once the final handing over takes place. Because completing everything in the time, completing everything in the fastest possible time, and with best of the technology is one major achievement. But unless your end user is happy and satisfied, all these achievements would get genuinely diminished. So having a successful handover is the most important and critical criteria at the final stage of the project, where the in case of residences, yes, as I've said, in one project where we had more than about 1,500 apartments created, we had 1,500 different customers whom we had to satisfy. Every customer is different. Every customer has different requirements, different likes, dislikes. And the beauty is that, which I would like to definitely share here with you, is that particularly on residential projects, the beauty is that the dil mange more. Every single customer would definitely expect to receive what has been planned and what has been given in the contract. But they would always expect that since it is L&T, और ज्यादा क्या मिल रहा है, ये एक्स्ट्रा ये क्यों नहीं दे सकते हैं, ये क्यों नहीं हो सकता है, कैन यू गिव दिस मोर, कैन यू ट्राई दिस, यू आर अ लार्ज ऑर्गेनाइजेशन, व्हाई नॉट. And our ability to create small extra values creates customer delight. So customer satisfaction has been always the motto of every single project that we execute, but particularly in residential and commercial projects, we focus more on customer delight, where you're able to deliver something extra and above what we've actually promised. So that's the success of creating a successful brand, and that's what we are continuously striving for. Okay, planning functions. I wouldn't like to take a lot of time because it's already 12 o'clock and we've got about 14 minutes more before I conclude on the technology and the tools that we've tried to utilize so far and create good value for organization as well as the project. So basically, typical planning functions includes a lot of planning right from the stage one of conceptualization till the final handing over. Even handing over of individual apartment is systematically planned right up to the final T. So that's usually the success to successful completion of a project. Okay, one important factor mainly on a residential project is about stage-wise monitoring. Quality is one critical thing which even in the first session there were a lot of questions in terms of how do we ensure and how do we monitor the quality. We divide a typical residential project into 6 different stages and before handing over. So the first and foremost is the structure. So as soon as the structure starts getting completed on a floor to floor basis, the structure is handed over to the next stage team, which is the team which is going to create the all the partitions and the walls. So next level is the masonry and waterproofing requirements for any residential project, where the structure having completed is systematically handed over to the next team to the to their satisfaction, that any variations, any deviations, any small additional requirements are clearly taken care of, so that once the finishing activities start, there are no subjectivities left out in terms of limitations of the structure getting created. Similarly, the next stage is services. We in construction language, we call it MEP works. So mechanical, electrical, and plumbing works. So all three services start getting executed in tandem, and then once they are getting executed, there is an overlap with the wall or masonry works as well, because nowadays majority of the services are concealed. So when the concealed activities are supposed to happen, once the walls are created, the concealed services are executed, and then the services are closed using different technologies and different design requirements, and based on that the final finishing work starts. So once the structure in terms of RCC structure or steel structure is completed, then the walls and waterproofing is done, then the basic service first fix is completed. We start with the finishing activities of giving the final finish in terms of plastering, tiling, flooring, windows, doors, and the whatever false beams or boxing or false ceiling requirement. Once those things are getting completed, the stage 5 is fit out. So now the basic finishes are more or less completed. Then the concealed wire gets closed in terms of the final switch is getting installed, the final taps and bathroom and toilet fittings getting fitted, the HVAC indoor units, outdoor units get completed, and the final marble on the floor once it is seen will be polished, the doors, hardware, etc. gets completed, and then the final coat of paint is done. And then the last and the final stage of testing and commissioning. So every single service is finally tested before being offered for handing over. So electrical, plumbing services, drainage services, air conditioning services are specifically taken care of. One important criteria is of safety. So now L&T usually gets into high rises, and all high rises have very strict norms of firefighting requirements. In fact, in Mumbai, you guys would have heard of multiple fire accidents taking place in high rises and what challenges came across. So yes, every single fire hazard is usually envisaged, planned, and the necessary services are also planned for that. Now, having planned and executed, you need to be sure that they are working functionally proper. So test checks and commissionings are done on every single systems like this. Nowadays, we all have high rises where on a floor of 40th floor and 50th floor and 60th floor, there is huge wind pressure also. So for these apartments with these huge wind pressures, the glass windows are also designed with very high level requirement of strengths. And then once they are executed, they are tested for their strength, their ability to sustain the wind, ability to sustain that pressure. And not only in terms of operations, but long-term life also is continuously verified. And finally, once the light fixtures are completed, the project stands completed, and then it is offered for handing over, where we certainly try and do, I said, customer delight by offering even something more than what is logically offered on case-to-case basis. Okay, now digital tools used. This is one very interesting factor where which is predominantly used at the design stage. But I will make a statement here that any project with present construction mindset and present technological levels available is decided in terms of its success, its value additions, its cost cutting and cost optimization to a large extent right at the design stage. So if we are able to design a project to the minutest of the details right in the beginning, we are able to clearly understand the exact technical for the execution of the project, the precise equipment and specialized skill set of equipment requirement right at the beginning. And that would provide immense advantage of systematic planning. Based on a systematic planning, the execution starts getting a lot more organized, a lot more precise, and timely. So, 3D model, this Revit model is something which we are regularly using for all our projects. to be able to create a 3D model. BIM model I talked to you guys about is Revit is one of the brand name which is used for 3D modeling. So fully coordinated 3D models are created using Autodesk Revit model. Once those 3D models are available, the additional any large and better organizations would try to use is 4D model. Now 4D modeling, I'll go beyond that in explaining the 5D modeling as well. So there are different brand names of brands which are providing specialized tools and technologies for creating a 4D and a 5D model. We have successfully used Bexel Manager. I'm not trying to do any marketing for that particular brand, but yes, we have used this particular product for 4D and 5D modeling of on our projects, where beyond 3D designs, we do fourth dimension, that is scheduling. Now, scheduling is always parallelly done once the design is prepared, but incorporating schedule along with the design to be able to successfully track the progress is the key. So the success of 4D modeling is providing the ability to track the progress as per the design already done and planning already done. Where do we actually stand? So in those formats, once we are able to put the data in terms of actual execution done on a day-to-day, on a weekly basis, we are able to get the exact idea in terms of where do we stand vis-a-vis the original design, vis-a-vis the original plans that has been done. And there is nothing like, I would say, there is a single project which can always go right up to the T of the final designs on planning. There are bound to be minor issues, variations, challenges appearing depending on limitations of space, limitations of workforce, limitations of certain material availability at certain point in time, and certain infrastructure availability at certain point in time. So because of those variations, there are deviations where you are perhaps lagging on a particular activity for a couple of days. But then having these technologies, you are able to quickly understand that and find the alternative solutions to be able to catch up. So the catch up schedules become a lot easier and realistic and implementable using this 4D technology. But now, as technology keeps advancing, there is no end. As they say that with this AI models and chatbots available, we are already aware. And I'm sure we all must have heard and heard about ChatGPT, uh, which is talking about the technology thinking and behaving to the efficiency of a humankind, human individuals as such. So yes, here also the technology is advanced on a 5D model, where having done the designs and scheduling combined together, it is once again added with another layer of cost estimations. Because success and failure of any project is on two parameters. The acceptability of the final end product by the end user is one critical parameter, and having the right cost control and ability to create a cost efficiency through which a right profit and a right end result in terms of profitability for a project is the success parameter for the executor or the developer himself. So adding this particular module of adding additional of costs with the previous four dimensions adds a tremendous precision in terms of overall execution parameters. And execution is done using this five dimensional models. It provides huge benefits in terms of ensuring and continuously keeping a tab on the final success parameters of the project. So there are various platforms used, as it's clearly shown in this slide, that output tools with customized dashboards using Power BI. At the same time, SAP SQL is used for integrating the billing along with further 5D beyond. I wouldn't say it's 6D because it's not a different dimension or different layer, but having done the cost estimation and cost comparison with the budget, then integrating that with the billing as well, is the next level of technological development which is physically happening on various residential and commercial projects at this moment. There are different color codes provided. So in these 3D models, the different color codes would specifically indicate what is actual work done. Now, actual work done vis-a-vis what is the actual work done within the agreed or accepted time frames, and which are the specific works done completed but having absorbed extra time are also specifically highlighted in these models, and which is very very interesting and very challenging, and which will keep getting developed further and further with their own challenges and with their issues as such. Uh, yeah, I think this is one example which has been very specifically shown where the status and progress status are combined using the Bexel technology, which we are presently using on various projects in our case, where the project structure is put into different colors. As you can see, these are the just fundamental things shown as uh, green color is what is completed, and then the baseline plans and all those things. Okay, these are the different color codes. I've just used this slide to show you the different color codes getting used for different requirements. So different material, different surfaces has different colors, and multiple additional levels of advanced requirements are added into this. Different services appearing at different colors, which clearly shows that yes, since you have executed the things to this level, the next level of requirement, just by putting a button, you are able to know that these are going to be the next level of requirements. The material, depending on the material quality and parameters, are given into different colors. So yes, I would like to end my presentation with within the given time frame. I hope I have been able to do justice to this. As I've put in the last slide, um, very well said by Abraham Lincoln, that given me 6 hours to chop down a tree, I'll spend the first 4 hours sharpening the axe, planning, and planning things to the right T to be able to finally be successful in delivering a successful project. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Pranav sir. So the audience is very excited, and Prashant says it was an amazing presentation. Thank you for your time.
Thank you for appreciating.
So this was a very insightful session, and you showed us all the leading and the record-making projects in India. And thank you very much for taking us also through the tools, the steps, and the processes that are followed. Now here we are presenting you a certificate of appreciation. Pranav sir, this is for the time and effort that you have spent on this forum.
Thank you. Thanks a lot.
Thank you so much. So can we go to the Q&A session now, sir?
Yeah, I'm absolutely ready.
Okay. So sir, Anil is asking, were all the 6 towers of the Crescent Bay constructed simultaneously?
No, dear. That's a good question. Yes, they were not executed at the same point in time. Two towers were taken up first, then adding another two towers, and then one and one, depending on. These are the challenges. As I'm getting the right opportunity to answer also. That availability of land, availability of permissions and approvals at the right time. Now, having got the opportunity to execute all the 6 towers parallelly would have created a new record in itself in terms of the development of 1,500 apartments in a very short time period. But in spite of that, we have done a fantastic job of delivering 6 towers and 1,500 apartments in say about 7 years time.
Okay, thank you. So Trupti, Saumitra, Brendan, they're all saying thank you for the wonderful session explaining the tools and techniques used. Kailash, okay.
Thank
So
you.
yeah.
I appreciate your appreciation.
Okay, the next question from Anil is, what are the challenges in 3D printing?
Yeah, 3D printing at the moment is in just initial stage where 3D is about computerization of a design and then using computer controlled machines to execute those designs. So 3D printing is using the machines to physically execute. Now creating a 3D model of a computer A laptop or a table is something different, but on a large scale, like creating a house, creating a wall, creating multiple floors using construction equipment, which are having the precision of a computer and having been getting the controls from computer in a predefined design manner, is something which is very unique, and that technology is continuously getting developed. The the ability of this equipment to cope up with the design parameters and provide the control parameters to achieve those designs is the present challenge, which is continuously being tried on different platforms, different combinations. And we at L&T ourselves are trying different models to bring together various technologies, adding with 3D to create a better 3D effect.
Okay, thank you. Is controlled blasting used to reduce the reconstruction time?
Absolutely. Control blasting is used where regular blasting is not possible, and yet you want to achieve the excavation or the dismantling of the rock or the underground issue things in a time bound manner with precision without disturbing the others.
Okay, right. Okay. Are the composite profile deck slabs, they are assembled on-site or off-site?
No, deck slabs are these are the steel profiles available in small widths and precise lengths, which are laid one over the other physically on site, and then on that the reinforcement is fitted, and over that the actual slab is cast using the concrete.
Okay. Sir, was it cost effective to use augmented reality?
Uh, Augmented reality is something which is an addition over the existing thing that we did and experimented, and every experiment, every innovation has its own cost. But yeah, when it's left to L&T, I would say yes, we do plan and would budget our requirements in such a way that we are able to execute this kind of innovations.
Okay. So safety refers to during construction, or is it post-construction that we talk about?
No, no, absolutely. The prime requirement is during execution, we execute the project in safe manner, but the designs are created in such a way that post construction, while utilizing the end product, the actual safety parameters are critically designed, the plan designed and executed.
Right. Okay. So what are the typical time frames for planning a residential project?
It would vary from a couple of months to any any time period depending on the actual scope and the size of the project.
It's a question related to what Abraham Lincoln is saying.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
So you know your project require is able to afford you this much time, and it has to be done within that time. You don't have options.
Very true. Is MS Project used at all for project monitoring of such projects?
Yeah, yeah, very regularly, very regularly.
Okay. Ramesh is asking, how was PMP certification valuable to your team?
My entire team has not got PMP certifications, but many members of my team have been have taken PMP certifications, and they are very efficient, very good. And I personally find them a lot more equipped as compared to people who have not, in terms of their mental ability and uh, to grasp new things and incorporate those new advancements and systematic organized approach of execution. Yeah.
Okay, right. Swagat is saying 44 months time for project completion using precast. So isn't it a bit too high?
Not at all. Once again, in the same project, the 6 towers were available at different point in time, and one after the other. We were first given only the 3 towers, and then the fourth. Almost after almost completion of the fourth tower, you got the fifth one, and then the last tower was given after all the first 5 towers were ready and almost occupied. So yes, 44 months is not a short time for 6 towers, but depending on the availability of the specific land, yes, it is very very challenging.
Right. Okay. So Kishore is asking to your view on seismic compliance to local and international guidelines.
Very critical. Now we've recently heard about Turkey and Syria, what has happened. that certain specific structures where actually like they had collected taxes for the additional cost for spend for seismic compliance actually for the structure, and perhaps to a large extent they were not actually used at the time of actual execution, which is very very critical, and we all need to be extremely sensitive looking at the recent developments in last let's say 20 years, kind of seismic activities happening below the earth. So it is a very critical parameter, and as conscious organizations we all should be extremely sensitive to it.
Right. Sir, Anil is asking what tool is used for critical task tracking?
Multiple tools are used like as the planning when it is done, as I've said, we used Bexel in our recent projects where we have been systematically using uh, all the four dimensions of continuous observing and monitoring the actual progress vis-a-vis the original plan. But depending on the project we can use MS projects, yes, comfortably. And tools are to be decided on the basis of the scope and the affordability at the end of the day. It's just the application of mind to have a continuous monitoring and finding a solution to catch up. That's the fundamental.
Right. Okay, sir, Bexel 4D 5D, is it used for just-in-time materials management?
Absolutely. See, it's not nothing to directly do with just in time or not. But yes, when we talk about 4D and 5D, they are supposed these 45 days are supposed to provide us the benefits of planning things right up to the last precision, and planning the timing of those requirements, those resources also to the last precision, which provides a opportunity to do just in time also, which definitely reduces the overall construction time or the execution time to a large extent.
Okay. So that brings us to the end of Q&A session, sir. Okay, there's one more has come up from Sachin. What strategy has been used for change of scope and change management?
Change management is a critical and important requirement for any project as such, whether it's a small or a large or a mega project, that whatever you do. So that's what life is about. Everything is never certain. There are bound to be uncertainties, and change management for execution, change management for cost, change management for change in material. There are multiple change management requirements which any mature organization would get mentally prepared for, and that's why continuous monitoring helps in terms of creating those variations, having plan b's available for any or all kind of resources, and even in the technology also of the execution helps. So change management is a critical integral part of your overall project execution methodology used.
Right. Very true, sir. Okay. Has the sustainability requirement changed for your projects?
Sustainability requirements with the advancement of the technology and for a continuous improving organization is continuously improving. So sustainability requirements keep improving. When I said we try to do customer delight, yes, one critical parameter we try to use is try and provide more and more sustainable end products and individual features of end products. When I said about this precast towers, no, I'll make a statement here that this precast towers which I've executed are that a typical RCC structure is usually believed to be very comfortably used for 50 years plus. But for precast, total precast towers, I would say for even for 70 years plus, it is very comfortably usable without any problem or any issues to it. And that's what is the sustainability enhancement or improvement that we continuously strive for.
Okay. And this was proactively done by L&T, sustainability management.
Absolutely, absolutely, absolutely. That's where we become a leader.
Right, right. That's the differentiator.
Absolutely, yeah.
Okay. So that brings us to the end of Q&A session, sir. So once again, thank you very much from PMI Mumbai chapter for being our guest today and giving us this opportunity to host you, to listen to you, to learn so many new things. And a big thank you from all our attendees who have been sending congratulatory messages to you for your execution skills as well, apart from thanking you for your time and effort today.
Certainly,
Also,
Sonali. In fact, I would like to thank you and your team for very systematical and very organized arrangement of this particular session. Thank you as well as all the attendees for having me. I am very happy and a proud engineer to be a part of any execution or any challenging project execution, and I would love to share definitely my experiences, my learnings with fellow engineers and fellow project execution professionals, because sharing is always the key to continuous and fast improvements, and that's what we always strive for. And I personally would love to be a part of this exercise continuously till I'm able to. Thank you.
right. Thank you, sir. So we are learning every day.
Every single day, yeah, till you're alive.
Right. So thank you to Mr. Girish, though he's not present today and he is engaged in some
Certainly,
other PMI Mumbai chapter activities. Also, a big thank you to Sunil sir, who is from our admin team. A big thank you to
certainly.
the enthusiastic and engaging audience today who have been with us throughout the session. And a note for the audience, we request you to please share your feedback as it is very important for us and it helps us improve each of our session. And sir, as a token of appreciation, a small Amazon voucher will soon follow your way. Pranav sir.
That's not a necessity, but thanks. I'm more happy and satisfied having probably been able to answer a lot of query. And yes, like enthusiasm is the key, and that's where I would like to congratulate the entire PMI team to create this kind of platform, create awareness within the project management professionals, and provide them ultimate information in terms of the latest developments as well. So fantastic effort, Sonali, from you, Girish, your entire team, and thanks to PMI. That's it.
Okay. Thank you, sir. So with this, we will end the session for today. Thank you. Take care. Bye bye.
Take care. Thank you.